Hey everyone, and welcome back to another explainer. I am so pumped to get into today's topic because it's basically a masterclass in corporate strategy. It's happening right in front of us. We are looking at a really wild shift in the fast casual restaurant world, a true tale of two biscuit brands heading in totally opposite directions. On one hand, you've got this massive established titan of Southern comfort food putting itself on a corporate diet, and on the other hand, a hungry, aggressive startup loading up its plate for an all-you-can-eat expansion. So let's just dive right into it. So you really have to ask yourself, why on earth would a massive company just up and walk away from a $36 million investment? Well, to understand that, we have to go back to October of 2019. Cracker Barrel decided to test the waters of the fast casual space. They dropped $36 million to buy a Jacksonville, Florida-based concept called Maple Street Biscuit Company. It was this huge bet on scaling a regional brand across the Southeast. But now, just a handful of years later, they are completely walking away. Like, what actually happens when a multi-million-dollar corporate experiment just runs out of road? Let's find out. Section 1. The Biscuit Brand Handover. A corporate symbiosis. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of what actually went down. Cracker Barrel is officially pulling the plug on its fast casual dining experiment. They're selling the Maple Street Biscuit Company trademark, along with a bunch of physical assets, to a direct competitor, Biscuit Belly LLC. They're a gourmet biscuit sandwich chain based out of Louisville, Kentucky. And it is genuinely fascinating to watch this unfold, you know? Seeing this rising star from Louisville completely swallow up the assets of a Jacksonville giant. While they haven't made the exact financial terms of the asset sale public, it marks a definitive, hard stop to Cracker Barrel's attempt at running a secondary, smaller chain alongside its main business. Section 2. Cracker Barrel trims down, shedding the weight. Look, when you're a giant corporation, sometimes you just have to look in the mirror, get back to basics, and trim the operational fat. Despite all of Cracker Barrel's early efforts to push the Maple Street brand across the Southeast, it just never became a heavy hitter financially. In fact, Maple Street accounted for less than 2% of Cracker Barrel's total annual revenue. Let that sink in for a second. Less than 2%. When you have a subsidiary eating up executive time, complicating your supply chain, and demanding constant oversight, but it's only yielding this tiny sliver of the overall pie, it just becomes a massive operational distraction. And Cracker Barrel's CEO, Julie Masino, well, she isn't framing this as a defeat at all. She's treating it like a disciplined, necessary pivot. She said, and I quote, "Divesting Maple Street sharpens our focus on the core Cracker Barrel brand and is expected to improve profitability." Basically, by cutting the cord on that under 2% revenue stream, they're freeing up a ton of energy and resources. Now they can make sure their namesake brand, the one bringing in over 98% of the cash, is running as smoothly and profitably as humanly possible. But what does this mean for the actual restaurants on the ground, the ones you might drive past every day? Well, there were 51 Maple Street locations total, and their fates are getting split right down the middle. Biscuit Belly is acquiring the assets tied to 35 of those spots. The remaining 16 locations, the ones not included in the deal, are being permanently shut down. So 35 stores get a totally new lease on life under a new boss, while 16 are locking their doors for good. It's honestly a stark reminder of how sudden corporate boardroom decisions physically change the landscape of our local neighborhoods. Section 3. The financial fallout. Short-term pain, long-term gain. Of course, pulling the plug on a brand makes huge waves on the balance sheet. To streamline their finances even more during this transition, Cracker Barrel just pulled off a massive $77 million move. They closed a sale-leaseback deal involving 26 of their company-owned real estate properties. Basically, they sold the physical dirt and buildings they owned and then cleverly signed an agreement to lease them right back from the new owner. This instantly freed up $77 million in net cash. And that money, it's going straight toward aggressively paying down their corporate debt. But let's be real, walking away from a brand isn't cheap, and Cracker Barrel is taking a major punch to the chin right now to make this happen. They're bracing for non-cash impairment charges of anywhere between $37 and $39 million during their fiscal fourth quarter. And if that accounting hit wasn't enough, they're also projecting another $6 to $8 million in actual cold hard cash transition expenses that they'll be paying out through fiscal year 2027. So yeah, shedding that corporate weight comes with a pretty hefty price tag in the short term. But here is the crazy part. Even with all those massive charges, the executives at Cracker Barrel are incredibly optimistic. Actually, scratch that. They aren't just optimistic. They went ahead and raised the company's financial outlook for fiscal year 2026. They are projecting their total revenue to hit, or maybe even beat, the upper limit of their guidance, which is up to $3.3 billion. In the business world, sometimes you have to amputate a toe to save the whole body. They are totally fine swallowing tens of millions in costs today because they truly believe it clears the runway for a $3.3 billion year tomorrow. Section 4. Biscuit Belly's Big Expansion, Acquiring Ready-Made Muscle. Okay, so who exactly is stepping up to the plate to buy all these locations? Enter Biscuit Belly. They're a really ambitious startup founded just back in 2019 by Chad and Lauren Coulter, and they only had 15 stores before this deal. Now, if you're a small chain trying to find good real estate, build a commercial kitchen from scratch, and hire a brand new staff, those are massive, expensive hurdles. But CEO Chad Coulter hit the nail on the head. He said, when we looked at Maple Street's geography, restaurant footprints, and established store-level teams, we saw a unique opportunity. Biscuit Belly is essentially buying ready-made muscle. They get a turnkey operation to instantly hit the gas on their regional growth without having to lay a single brick. The growth trajectory here is just off the charts. Right now, literally overnight, they are jumping from 15 to 50 locations by gobbling up those 35 Maple Street spots. Over the next 18 to 24 months, Biscuit Belly is going to totally gut and rebrand those new storefronts, starting out in Cincinnati and Richmond. And if we look even further down the road, to the end of 2028, this single acquisition is projected to push the chain well past 60 locations. It's a brilliant textbook strategy. Take a competitor's discarded project and use it as rocket fuel for your own brand. So all this brings us back to the big question to wrap things up today. Will trimming the fat actually lead to bigger profits? For Cracker Barrel, shedding that tiny, distracting 2% slice of their portfolio might be the exact right move to secure billions in their core business. And for Biscuit Belly, swallowing up those exact same discarded restaurants might be the perfect catalyst to make them a dominant regional powerhouse. It's incredible how one company's ultimate distraction became another company's entire foundation. Next time you see a local restaurant completely flip its signage overnight, keep this tale of two biscuits in mind. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on the business moves happening right in your own neighborhood, and I will see you all next time.